Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. I'm chuckling. I'm amusing myself with thoughts in my own brain about. I shouldn't think like this. We're going to talk about RFK Jr. and his manly physique and his shirt off. How can I phrase? I don't know. You know what? We're going to have a call-in show tonight, and we were going to just talk about this whole Canada as the 51st state thing because of Trump, right? And I just, yeah, okay. I'm just checking the microphone here too to make sure we have the right audio tonight, and I think we do. We're not going to just talk about it. Tonight, you can call in and you can share your opinion on who is more manly with their shirt off, RFK Jr. or Vladimir Putin. I'll tell you why RFK Jr. is so ripped, even at his elderly age. Also, tonight, yes, we will get into all of this talk about Canada possibly joining the United States. Maybe we're going to be invaded. Or annexed once Donald Trump takes office. I don't know. He keeps talking about it, and Trudeau was talking about it again today during an appearance while he was giving a speech at the Halifax Chamber of Commerce. So we'll bring you that as well. And what else? We're going to... Oh, you ever wonder why Trump changes the color of his tie? I mean, most of the time he wears red, but sometimes he changes his tie color. We'll reveal some of the, we'll give you some insight into his wardrobe choices, his wardrobe accessories when we come back on the other side of this. And get that dialing finger ready because we will be going to the phones tonight.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV,
the entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Justin Trudeau in Halifax today says dealing with the incoming Trump administration will be, quote, a little more challenging than it was the last time Trump was in the White House. He was out in Halifax speaking to the Halifax Chamber of Commerce today, and he says that Trump's team is coming in with what he describes as a clearer set of ideas in terms of what they want to do immediately upon taking power again in January. So he says that it's no need to panic, at least not yet. But he also acknowledged today during his speech to the Chamber of Commerce there in Halifax that 25% tariff across the board to Canada would absolutely devastate the Kazakhstanian economy. No question about it. The thing is, I think it's pretty clear that a 25% tariff across the board on everything being exported from Canada and imported into the United States would also be pretty devastating for the U.S. economy. Trump speaking about it again over the weekend, yesterday, on NBC's Meet the Press, and it's just set off shockwaves. There he is again, talking about the tariffs and talking about Canada possibly becoming, once again, the 51st state, and even went so far as to say that maybe Mexico should become the 52nd state. Is it a joke? Is it really a joke? I don't think it's a joke. They've been talking a lot about, integrating all three countries into one giant big trading bloc thing. I think this is kind of a prelude to that, and maybe even a lot more. I'm actually a little bit worried about where it might be going because I'm worried about where it might be coming from. I don't want to elaborate too much on this because I don't want to speak without real concrete information behind what I'm thinking. But I'm kind of worried because I'm not so sure that well, that's as much as I'm going to say. I'm just darn worried about it. A lot more so than other people who are like, ha ha ha, it's not going to happen. It'll never happen. He's so hilarious. Yeah, I think maybe some of the politicians on the Canadian side saying Donald Trump is hilarious are actually, that's what they're saying in public. But I think maybe behind the scenes they're saying other things, maybe mumbling some things under their breath and worrying at the same time. But I'll tell you this, the American people should probably be worried too, because if it happens, the prices on everything will be going through the roof. And Trump talking about these tariffs, like across the board, not just here, but he's initiating, it seems like, a trade war just about with every country globally. It's not smart. Not really. No. I don't think so. I think you'd be hard pressed to find any economist out there who would say that doing any of this stuff would actually constitute sound economic policy. I don't think so. Now, maybe he's just posturing. We'll have to judge him by his actions once he comes into office. But I take exception as a Canadian to this approach because we have always been, well, except when we burned the White House during the War of 1812. But other than that, we get along famously. We've always been allies. Certainly, we have been the best of friends for the better part of, 150 years or so, yeah, or more, over 150 years, a century and a half in the entire existence of Canada, pretty much. Good trading partners, great neighbors. We love the United States. The United States, I think, kind of loves us. Well, not everybody. There's some people, some people don't like each other, but I like the United States. Trudeau, I think he's worried. He should be worried. Trump has been spanking him pretty good on the international stage over the past week. Flew on down there to Mar-a-Lago to have dinner with Team Canada. And he was at the table with some pretty high-profile people there sitting right beside Trump. Great photo op and also a good opportunity for Donald Trump to, I think, kind of embarrass JT and put him in his place. And maybe he even deserves some of that for some of the nasty things he said about Trudeau over the years, especially during his last term in office and then after he left. So, yeah, I kind of get it. But, all that being said, Trudeau's probably not the right guy to have in there heading into whatever negotiations take place on trade between Canada and the U.S. Nevertheless, there he is out there in Halifax today. Let's go to the clip, shall we? And we'll hear what Trudeau has to say about why this is going to be such a challenge this time around.
Thank you very much.
This is after his address, taking questions now from the host.
Okay.
Well, except that it froze. There we go.
I think we've got an hour and a half questions that we need to get through in less than 30 minutes. Quick questions and snappy answers. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to jump right into probably one of the most critical items, which are tariffs. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce has released alarming new figures on the potential economic fallout of the proposed tariffs on U.S. imports, and that was before those threatened tariffs were mentioned at 25%. I guess what is being done by the Canadian government and you yourself personally to ensure that Canadian-U.S. trade relations remain healthy, and that if tariffs are imposed, how can we adapt?
Well, first of all, let's not kid ourselves any way, shape, or form. 25% tariffs on everything going to the United States would be devastating for the Canadian economy. It would require us to pull together and support each other and hang in there to prevent just horrific losses in all of our communities for everyone. They would also, however, mean real hardship for Americans as well. Americans import 65% of their crude oil from Canada, significant amounts of electricity, just about all the natural gas exported from Canada goes to the United States. They rely on us for steel and aluminum. They rely on us for a range of agricultural imports. All of those things would get more expensive. Now, for years, Americans have been paying more for their homes than they should because of unjust tariffs on softwood lumber. Maybe this level of tariffs will actually have them realize that this is something they are doing to themselves. And President-elect Trump got elected on a commitment to make life better and more affordable for Americans. And I think people south of the border are beginning to wake up to the reality that tariffs on everything from Canada would make life a lot more expensive for Americans. So that's part of the argument. The other part is we will, of course, as we did 8 years ago, respond to unfair tariffs in a number of ways. And we're still looking at the right ways to respond. But our responses to the unfair steel and aluminum tariffs were what ended up lifting those tariffs last time. It wasn't that Americans were paying more for their steel and aluminum, although that was annoying to some people in the States. It was the fact that we put tariffs on bourbon and Harley-Davidsons and playing cards and Heinz ketchup and cherries and a number of other things that were very carefully targeted because they were politically impactful to the president's party and colleagues, was how we were able to punch back in a way that was actually felt by Americans. But we know a few things about Donald Trump. First of all, we know that when he says these things, he means them. But at the same time, we also know that his approach will often be to challenge people to destabilize a negotiating partner, to offer uncertainty and even sometimes a bit of chaos into the well-established hallways of democracies and institutions. And one of the most important things for us to do is not to freak out, not to panic.
Don't freak out!
Knowing that, yes, these would be absolutely devastating means we have to take them seriously, but it does mean we have to be thoughtful and strategic not go around making our opponent's arguments for him, but making our arguments in a significant and united way. One of the strongest voices last time around Team Canada was actually Premier Scott Moe of Saskatchewan. Now, he was, as you guys know, federal politics, no big fan of mine. We've worked together on a number of good issues together. But he and I have some really big disagreements on issues of energy, environment, and other things. But his voice with governors down south, his making the case for Canadian workers and Canadian trade in a way that complemented the arguments that we were making, did a better job of showing what Canadian unity was and Canada's negotiating position could be to a United States that has a political system that is incredibly fractured and fractious, even with the strong mandate that President-elect Trump has. There are so many diverging interests in the United States that when we can pull together and be thoughtful and strategic and firm in our approach, as we succeeded in last time, this time is going to be different. It's going to be a little more challenging. They're coming in with a lot clearer set of ideas of what they want to do right away than they had last time. But we can do this. We can do this because when crises happen,
you can do it.
When we are challenged as a country, we step up. We've shown it on the battlefields of Europe through 2 world wars. We've showed it through international engagement and diplomacy around the world. We showed it by negotiating win-win trade deals with more economies around the world than just about any other country. We did that over the past number of years. We're now the only G7 country with a free trade deal with every other G7 country. We do it because we pull together and we look for the win-win. We are looking for a win-win with the United States where American businesses and citizens will do well and Canadian businesses and citizens will do well. And getting that together is something that we can and will do. But as you say, Pat, it is something we absolutely need to take seriously and be laser focused on, which is exactly where we are.
Great. Jumping to the new GST holiday, or potentially GST holiday, I guess, which, as you
HST
mentioned,
out here.
HST out here.
15% off for people.
Will start on Saturday. Although I think everyone is generally happy that there is going to be a reduction on some of the HST out here. There is some cost to local businesses. Is there anything that can be done to aid smaller local businesses with the unplanned costs of this change?
Well, first of all, I have heard from Canadians across the country who have been very pleased with this measure because it shows that we're seeing that, yes, people are squeezed, and even with all the different programs and supports, something tangible like a tax break for the next 2 months, when people are standing in grocery stores, looking at their account balance, looking at what's in their baskets, and saying, okay, maybe we're going to have to wait a few days, or we'll have to get more of this when we come back. We're going to do without this week. When every penny matters, this is going to make a real difference.
Pennies? You don't even make pennies anymore.
Of next year. For retailers, particularly for restaurants,
Nickels.
I know people know this is going to bring a lot more people out for family gatherings a little more regularly, and that's a great thing. And I know a lot of restaurants in particular are pushing this. Grocery stores already have different classifications. If you're buying prepared food, if you're buying a rotisserie chicken, for example, or whatever, there's GST on those. Right now, all groceries, as of Saturday, will have no GST. And prepared food around the holidays, that's going to make a difference for a whole bunch of people. Now, retailers, I know, will have to recode some of these initiatives, and that's can be a bit of a hassle depending on the level of size and of IT systems that you have. CRA has extensive help support and lines and information that can help people through that. But I know we're already seeing that there are so many retailers taking advantage of this to publicize it, to draw in more customers at a time where things are slow, particularly in January and into February, that this is going to be something that will hopefully also boost people's confidence and have the sense of, okay, it's okay to be out there.
It's okay
and,
to
and
eat
spending
now.
on yourself and your kids
I
again.
can't
because
afford
we've been
to
through
buy
the worst
food.
of the inflation and interest rates crisis. And we can be optimistic about how Canada is going to be doing in the coming years. And that's a powerful side effect of giving everyone a break.
Okay, enough for now. All right. Stock up on them rotisserie chickens. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. It's the HST GST holiday over the Christmas break. Oh my goodness. I don't know. But hey, don't worry. Yeah, the world's on fire. The country's under attack from Donald Trump, but there's no need to freak out. I'm sorry. It just struck me as funny. Yeah, where are we at? Okay, we're gonna get to the phones here, but before we do that, I want to talk about. Well, I want to show you if I can find it here. Oh, here we are. So related to the tariffs is the comments that Trump has made about Canada becoming possibly the 51st state. I don't know why I'm speaking with an English accent, perhaps because I am kind of English. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Listen, I'm going to play this clip of this Americanian talking about exactly this. Here we go.
I think that's a great idea, and I would take it. So Trump made that crack last week that fucking Canada should become the 51st state, and the more I've thought about it and talked to like a lot of you that are in Canada, I think that's a great idea, and I would take it one step further. I think every fucking territory should become its own state, because what does Canada have to lose? Nothing. What do they have to gain? I don't know. Rights? Because Canadians, they don't have the freedom of speech. They don't have the fucking right to bear arms. They just confiscated another 348 specific firearms, and then they're gonna send them to fucking Ukraine? Like, America, we think we're getting fucked? Canada is not only sending Ukraine money, now they're taking their own citizens' guns and shipping them to Ukraine. Like, they're not allowed to talk. Look at, they locked up their bank accounts. There is no way that every Canadian's life would not be better if they joined the United States. And
I don't know about that, man.
We used to fucking, if there was a totalitarian dictator somewhere, anywhere in the world, we would go overthrow that government and fucking bring them democracy. Where are we at with that? What's going on? And somebody even pointed out to me, if it's about oil, Canada's got oil too. So we could just use that excuse. All I'm saying is, like, I haven't found a single Canadian that isn't like, yeah, dude, I'd like some rights. So, Canada, let's fucking get together. And a bunch of people think I'm from Canada. I'm not from fucking Canada. I'm from fucking South Dakota. You motherfuckers just don't know that South Dakota exists and is a state. And I'm a little close to Canada. I don't even talk like a fucking Canadian. At least I don't think so. They're always like, fucking, hey, you fucking hosers. Anyway, Canada should join us. I don't even know how many territories there are in Canada. There are like 6 of them. We could take on 6 more states. Canada, you should join America, because then I could go to Canada, because I'm not allowed in Canada right now. I can go to any other country in the world. I can't go to Canada. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Like, we're neighbors.
What do you mean you can't go to
fucking Canada? We need to make Canada part of the Union. Long live the Republic. All right, if I was talking to you about some Ford parts and I didn't get back...
Well, how many of them things they got up there? They got like 6 of them things. Yeah, we got Canada in part of the Union. So we just use the oil as an excuse and invade Canada. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Yuck, 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 yuck. I don't talk like Canadian. Yuck, 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 yuck. Jesus. Oh, for crying out loud. I don't know. Like, all right, let me take a break and we're going to go to the telephones on the other side of this thing. Oh, man. Oh, God. God help us. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call now, 1-519-401-1373. One 519-401-1373. Exercise your right to free speech. That's 1-519-401-1373. That's 1-519-401-1373. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay. We have our first caller of the night. And where's he calling from? The US of A. Hello, Joseph Leonard. Welcome back to the program. Help me out here. I love the United States, but when I see your fellow Americanians threatening to invade, to take our oil, and to give us rights, because we have 6 territories to make states. Yuck, 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 yuck. I don't know. Help me out here, man. What are your thoughts, first of all?
Yeah, well, first, we are the United States of America, not the United States assholes.
Thank you. Okay.
I know a lot of my fellow friendly Canadians are thinking at this point, but you're being played. You're being played. First thing, you're a news operation, so obviously this is a thing, so you got to cover the thing, but I am disappointed in a lot of other fellow Canadians. And, I've said that latter part about giving you rights, actually there's some validity and merit to that compared to tyrannical dictator Trudeau. So, but throwing that aside, and I joke, it'd be great to have British Columbia be a state and secure that land bridge between Alaska and, the other 48. But
yeah, but Joseph, when I look across the border at what goes on down there in the United States, I love the U.S., right? But I don't know that you guys are really any better off because, for a whole bunch of reasons. I see a lot of instability right now in your political system. Your whole country is tearing itself apart. You're on the verge of a civil war, in the opinion of many people.
Potentially. No, I mean, that's not illegitimate to say. I mean, we are, my friend Michael Gardner, a.k.a. Savage of Savage and Unfiltered, that I'm on his show as Jokester Joe a lot. He wrote a book, America's Modern Warfare, Political Warfare. It's a cold civil war. We've been in a cold war, a civil war, cold war for a while now, and I also had William Douglas on my show. Could this turn hot? He wrote a historical fiction book, kind of like my Terror Strikes is historical fiction, faction as I call it, a blend, right? Real historical fact, but things that are happening now that could then indeed spark it to go to a hot civil war. But ultimately, this is a distraction or a deflection. And It kills me. Sometimes when we talk about Ukraine, all of a sudden, I'm a Biden butt boy. But then if I talk about Trump, I'm a Trump cultist. How can I be both a Biden butt boy and a Trump cultist at the same time? And let me criticize Trump here. Again, I'm not, rah, 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 Trump's perfect. No, he's not. This is, again, like, did you see the meme about the fragrance? Trump fragrance.
That's right.
Even his enemies can't resist.
Yes.
The picture of him and Jill at the Notre Dame Cathedral. Did you see that?
Yes. They were getting along famously. They were engaging in, light banter back and forth, sitting close to each other, and then yeah.
Somebody snapped a picture that she's kind of almost looks like giving him a come hither look. So hence the Trump fragrance. Fragrance that even your enemies can't resist. Both that and this. Major Trump's inner 6-year-old stupidity, right? He gives people a chance to deflect, and Trudeau, the tyrant, forget all that tyrannical and illegal stuff he did against the convoy truckers, right? Focus on this. Look at this. Be outraged about this. And I am so disappointed so many of my fellow Canadian friends are falling for this crap. Focus on the important stuff.
Okay, all right. I'll try not to worry so much. I think there's more to it because it keeps coming up, not just from Trump, but from some others. And it's been going on now for the better part of a year and a half or so. And so it got me a little bit worried, but you're over there in Detroit. You're on the other side of the border. You're our American contributor, and I'll defer to you when you say that this is just some sort of a joke.
In all seriousness, though, I would love to have Ontario be a state. I would love for all the province, except Quebec. We don't need their problems. We need English first, American English as the official language of the nation. We don't want Quebec. But all the other provinces are welcome. But, yes, we have a lot of problems. You have problems. In some cases, our government under Biden and Trudeau, both tyrannical governances, and luckily we were able to overthrow them this time, and people got to stay involved. We need to restore our American republic back to what it's supposed to be, and hopefully, in part, along the way, we can drag you kicking and screaming MAGA to a degree, TAGA, I guess, right? MAGA, make Canada great again, or MICA, I guess that would be, right? You need to overthrow Trudeau so both our nations can get back on track.
Yeah. Well, people call us, some people up that say use the phrase maple MAGA. Yeah. But I don't know how that works. Maple and make America great again. It still doesn't work, but whatever.
MICA, we got to start a new hashtag, right? I'm always good at creating like I did ROAR, ROAR, hashtag ROAR, and I don't mean the Katy Perry ROAR, fame voice, softcore, pornish almost, the music video.
McCuga.
American Republic.
McGa.
So we need to start the hashtag MICA.
McGa.
Great again.
McGa. Okay. All right. One last question, Joseph, and then I'll let you get back to your work.
Sure.
Do you think RFK Jr. is on any kind of supplements or steroids or what do you think?
Well, that's an interesting question. I never really thought about it. I'm so focused on, again, the attacks and the lies. They lie about me. They lie about you. They lie about everybody, right? Everybody distort it. They're lying about RFK's position on vaccine. He's vaxxer choice, not anti-vax. And his position
I don't know. He's kind of anti-vax. He's kind of anti-vax. If you go back and listen to some of his comments in the past, I'll tell you this: he has. I've been looking into it, and he has publicly acknowledged that he is on testosterone therapy. So that is why he's so ripped. I just thought I'd throw that out there tonight.
Yeah, and could I accept that as true? Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Well, he said it. He's acknowledged it.
I don't know really what to think about it. And again, though, it's kind of a deflection. I don't care.
But I think we need to care.
We need to get better diets.
but look, this is the guy who wants to make America healthy again, and he's been parading around with his shirt off like Vladimir Putin, with quivering nipples, waving in the breeze. Actually, even the other day he did a thing in the shower where he basically was practically naked. And then he's like, I'm going to make America healthy again, and he's getting all jacked up on testosterone.
Yeah, his wife had him behind her in the shower to peddle some of her products. So, yeah. Now, RFK Jr. in this case, like Trump, this is his inner stupid. The parading around shirtless and the show-off stuff is indeed providing our joint enemies in this case.
Who looks better? Who looks better shirtless? RFK Jr. or Putin?
Oh, RFK Jr.
I agree. If we have to, I'll put RFK Jr.'s nipples up against Putin's any day. And
but yeah, no, it's a valid point. I don't want to poo-poo the point that he's doing that. It's not him being natural, and the talk that we need to get back to natural stuff and be healthier, and there can be side effects to that. So it's not invalid. I don't want to poo-poo it, but again, I want to focus on the far more important, bigger picture.
Yeah, but as he's sitting there, it's just like some of these online influencers who are like, you should buy my exercise book, and they're all ripped. Meanwhile, they're all jacked up on steroids. And with testosterone therapy, there are heart disease risks that come with that, prostate health problems that can develop it, blood clots, infertility, liver toxicity, skin and hair changes, sleep apnea. I've looked it up. Mood swings, psychological effects, depression. It can make you aggressive. It can, there are all kinds of other risks that come with that. I think there's even an increased risk of cancer. And so there he is pushing all this stuff. And I just don't know. It just seems a little bit disingenuous or maybe even hypocritical somehow. Just not genuine to me.
There's a lot of frauds over time in snake oil, and indeed they're cheating. They're using the stuff and presenting themselves as something other. But again, I'm more concerned about the topic of what we can do because of our children being so fat, dumb, and lazy and unhealthy.
Yeah, well, that's very true. What about this 25% tariff? Are you worried about it? Do you think what impact do you think it'll have?
Yeah, Trump, I said the other day, right? People say, oh, he's honest. And no, it's part of the deal. He throws a lot of shit out there he doesn't mean all the time. And this is another potential, we might do this so that when somebody comes to the bargaining table, that's then tossed aside, but he gets something in return. But carrot and stick. I agree with carrot and stick. We've tried the carrot all too often sometimes. You got to have a stick too. So
I don't know. I don't like it when you guys beat me with a stick. I don't like it. Don't stop. Put the stick away. Just give me the carrot. You can have whatever you want. Okay?
And you were right the other day in saying, again, we are good trading partners, and I have more or less of a problem when saying those things about Mexico, right? Because they've been taking advantage of us for a long time. And some trade deal items, you have an advantage. Some trade deal items, we have an advantage. So it is more of a problem when saying that about Canada than saying it about Mexico. Again, it's a positioning thing, it's a bargaining thing, and definitely threaten China and Russia with it.
Yeah, well, I have my own thoughts on all of that. And
as far as you being beaten by a stick, from what I heard, you actually pay for that on occasion.
Well, me and RFK Jr. have a thing or two in common. And speaking of that, and before you go, I'll share this with our viewers. Let me show you. Like, if you are like RFK Jr. and you get all jacked up on testosterone, you too might end up. Where am I going here with this? Where'd my
drunken balls?
Here it is. No, that's not it. Sorry, I've lost my spot. It's got to be. No, it's not there. I just had it up. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. So, yeah, if you could end up in the bathroom with your wife, taking a shower, appearing half naked on social media, pumping stuff, or you could pose for a photo with the Hawktua girl. You see, you could have lapses in judgment like that. And well, I don't know if it's such a lapse in judgment. Maybe if you're on testosterone, you attract attractive Hawktua girls to you. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. Or you could get involved in a sexting scandal with someone like Olivia Nuzzi, who says that RFK Jr. wanted to possess and impregnate her during their sexting tryst, which is a controversy and scandal that kind of got him into hot water with his wife Cheryl. Just saying, all that you get pumped full of testosterone, you start acting like a horn dog in your old age, you're going to get yourself into bits of trouble.
Yeah, I am not fond, and I push back all the time, of course, when the left pulls this toxic masculinity shit.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think that's a side effect of, indeed, too much testosterone and taking it to, it screws with your brain. And in that case, okay, I'll agree that might be toxic masculinity at that point.
And he's so active that I think he's getting discounts on his sex toys, because there he is hanging out with Rabbi Shmuley, the guy who promotes kosher sex toys, with his daughter. Although actually Rabbi Shmuley is a pretty smart guy, but of course he's controversial because of his sex toy business. And there's RFK Jr. One day he's with the Hawktua girl, the next day he's with the sex toy guy. See what happens?
And again, though, I know you're doing the show, so you want to have some fun with us, and I don't blame you at all. But I am indeed disappointed with some out there that are indeed allowing all these distractions to continue rather than focus on the prizes that we need to be.
Yes, well, we certainly should get back to the more serious issues, but not right away. I'm having way too much fun.
Oh, no, hey, we gotta have fun once in a while, too. Right? All right, love you, brother. Take care. God bless.
Thank you, Joseph. You have a great night, my friend. Talk to you again soon. Okay, Joseph Leonard from Detroit, talking about, well, all the stuff we just talked about. And we'll talk about more stuff when we come back on the other side.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible t-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air ready to fight. For freedom. Get your Trump Fighting for Freedom t-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are 2 iconic artistic designs to choose from. But there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech. Free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call now. 1-519-401-1373. One 519-401-1373. Exercise your right to free speech. That's 1-519-401-1373. That's 1-519-401-1373. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay, and since we're talking about Canada possibly becoming the 51st state, we have to get a Quebec perspective, because Joseph says the United States probably wouldn't want Quebec, and here's Dragon calling in from Montreal. What do you think, sir? Should Canada join the United States, or should we just bend the knee, roll over, and accept it when the Marines come marching over the Rocky Mountains to take over the country? What should we do?
Well, that's a hard question you're asking me, because I wouldn't like to bend the knees in front of the American army, although I wouldn't like also that Canada becomes the 51 state, because logistically there will be a lot of change into our law, or maybe not so much if it's still like what happened around the Quebec Act and the Constitutional Act of 1791.
And explain to folks what that was all about. That's about language rights.
Yeah, well, the Constitutional Act of 1791 was basically when you had the upper and lower Canada, right? We were divided by our language and also the geographic point of view. For one, there's other reasons, but what happened from there is that the British Empire started basically to take over the French colony, and that's where basically we kind of started to be under their regime, if I can put it this way.
Right.
So, yeah.
And in fact, last night, well, I saw it today, the program from last night, there was a comment left. Yeah, there's one of the viewers put in the comments after the show earlier today. Somebody by the name of E. Broer says the Canada Act of 1791 divided the colony of Quebec into two parts along the Ottawa River. I was referring to why there was reference to Upper and Lower Canada, why those names were created, and I said that Upper and Lower Canada were created, those names, in part because the English-speaking, the British who had settled here and were kind of the ruling elites of the time, after, basically there was an agreement between the French and the English, if you will, but the English kind of wanted to assert a degree of dominance, if not in reality, maybe metaphorically. That's why, at least even in perception, that's why those names were created, Upper and Lower Canada, initially, right?
Yeah. Well, this actually came after the 7-Year War, which came to birth the Quebec Act of 22 of June 1774, if my memory is correct, from my 30 years of non-history schooling.
Yeah, and so E. Broers posted the Canada Act of 1791 divided the colony of Quebec into two parts along the Ottawa River. The names Upper and Lower come from their position along the St. Lawrence River. Upper Canada was upriver, closer to the source, and Lower Canada was downriver, closer to the mouth of the Great Waterway. So yes, I know that. And
upper becoming what we call now Ontario, basically, and was called at the time the Kingdom of Great Britain.
Yes. So that is true. That's very true, and thank you for posting that in the comments on the Rumble channel. I appreciate that because it is actually historically accurate. There is also, though, this social overlay that and our social and political dimensions to the naming of Upper and Lower Canada that went beyond just the geography, though, which reflected the social stratification and political dynamics of the time, because there was the division into Upper and Lower Canada was like a response to the cultural and linguistic differences between the English-speaking loyalists, right, who settled in Upper Canada, and the French-speaking population in Lower Canada. Upper Canada was established with British institutions and common law, largely to accommodate the influx of loyalists from the American Revolution, who were predominantly English-speaking and Protestant. Conversely, Lower Canada retained many French civil laws and institutions, reflecting its largely French-speaking Catholic population. And then there was, over time, the terms upper and lower could be interpreted in socio-political contexts where upper was seen by some as symbolically or metaphorically indicating a higher status or position. And then this wasn't explicitly intended in the naming, but the English-speaking Protestant nature of Upper Canada's governance and population could contribute to perceptions of English dominance or superiority, especially in political and economic spheres. So this was particularly evident in the era when, English-speaking elites often held significant power in both regions. And I think some of that even, still lingers today. Would you say that's fair?
It's fair. And to give you an idea in a nutshell of what happened, I mean, you got to go back from when the colony started here, okay, in a way. So if you go back after the Royal Proclamation of 1763, if my memory is correct, was basically to surrendering the French and basically kind of assimilate the French to the English ways or rules, right?
Yeah.
So that's what happened in Quebec on the Quebec Act of 1774, which gave the French like the right to claim that it was unfair, basically.
Yeah.
And after that, you had that constitutional act that basically sorted that division between the lower and upper Canada and kind of ruled, if you will. Like you said a good point. You had the religion also in that point of time having a lot of synergy, and I think because we were still having like the religion still ruling, if you will, the politics at the time, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So you had basically you had the Scotland Presbyterian, you had the English Protestant, and you had the French Roman Catholic Church. So that was basically another division that you had back in the days.
Yeah, and you know those divisions, that division within Canada, it's still it was present. It's still present today. Quebec, you guys up there in Quebec, you still haven't really fully accepted the Constitution. It was essentially imposed on you because there was enough support from the other provinces to patriate the Constitution in 1982, but you still don't like it. So good luck to Donald Trump if he takes over this country. We still haven't ironed out our darn constitutional issues and language issues. We're still fighting over it, but in a friendly kind of a way. At least it hasn't broken out into a civil war up here.
Well, thanks to the Patriot Party of 1838, right?
The Patriot Party?
Yeah.
Fill me in on that.
Well, the Patriot Party was kind of French and English Montrealers backing up each other's against the Upper Canada at some point, and kind of became, would say, the first. Later, it became like the first opposition to the Parliament at some point.
Yeah. Well, we still see these divisions, these attitudes. I would say potentially even, well, it is just straight up prejudice and in some cases bigotry between English and French and the country. Although I think for the most part we love each other, except that we love to fight.
Well, to give you my own perspective, right? I mean, when I was a kid, I used to be like in a school where you had both French and English people in the same school. So because, well, it was a special school for people that has dyslexia and other disabilities like these. So basically what happened is that we were having classes just French with the French, but in the backyard we had French and English people all around. So basically we had to live with each other. And in the 90s, when the referendum was a big thing, you had that big rivalry between the French and the English, and the frog name calling or the squarehead name calling thing was back in the on the forefront, if you will. Yeah. And there were sort of animosity since then. And like I probably told you in other conversation, I still had that animosity against the English at some point till the trucker convoy, where this kind of hatred against the English Canadian became love, because I've seen the people that were united against one enemy, and that was the liberal, basically. So, yeah, we love to hate each other once in a while.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, Canadians especially English and French, we've learned to love each other. Some people say, I'll just let Quebec go. The Western Canada right now, I think there's a pretty heavy Western separatist movement afoot again. But I don't know. I'd like to keep the country together. Maybe it's just because all my life the country has been unified while it's been trying to fly apart. But maybe I just don't like change. What about you? Do you want to separate?
No, if there's another referendum, I would vote no because I don't want my country to separate itself from Canada for many reasons. Well, economically speaking, and probably because we would be probably kind of cluster alone in our little space. So what would happen if, say, Canada become the 51 state, but Quebec doesn't want to know shit about that? We would become Russian? I wouldn't like that either.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but I'm seeing signs that maybe Russia has at least a little bit of a hand in what is going on here with their information warfare to fuel this disruptive discussion. So
yeah.
I'm a little bit worried. I mentioned it the other night actually, because if you listen to people send me Q posts quite a bit, and when I listen to some of that stuff, I keep hearing over and over again within them these posts that Russia is your friend. If Russian soldiers are seen on Canadian soil, don't be afraid. The Russian soldiers are there to help you. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? If I see a bunch of Russian soldiers on Canadian soil, I think it might be time to freak out. As Justin Trudeau said, no need to freak out. Well, there will be then. Okay, that's when I'll freak out. Just saying.
Wow. There's a video game back in the 2000 called Freedom Fighter, actually, that was basically a hypothetical story of Russia invading U.S., and you had to reconquer the U.S. Territory, basically, and it was a strategic game. So,
hey, Dragon, I gotta hang up. I got another call coming in. Okay.
All right.
Talk to you later. Bye. Go ahead. You're on the air. Oh, hang on. We still got.
Hello.
There you are. I know you called in earlier, and that's why I had to cut Dragon a little bit short to make room for you.
I owe Dragon. I will owe him.
Well, hello, Sandy. Welcome back. Great to hear from you with your sunshiny voice.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I was a little disappointed earlier. I was booted in Rumble because you were showing some not so good.
You were booted in Rumble?
Yeah, you were showing some photos with like Putin and JFK with the nipple showing thing.
Oh, well, that's just RFK with his shirt off. That's all that was.
Yeah, just be careful what you post, okay?
Okay, I'll keep it clean. It was all PG.
I know it's fun. It's all in fun, but you have to be careful these days.
Oh, yes.
You know what? If it was like a toss-up between Trump shirtless and RFK shirtless.
Well, or Putin. Or Putin.
It's a toss-up.
I don't think Trump's going to look too good shirtless.
Somebody new.
I don't think Trump's going to look very good with his shirt on, to be honest with you. I don't know, but he's got sort of like an extra large dad bod.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you called in. We need a female perspective on this. What do you think? Who looks the best with their shirt off? Out of those
I
three.
haven't seen anybody in a long time with their shirt off of a celebrity or. It's been a while, Rick. It's been a long while.
I don't want to know anything about your social life. Okay?
No. Yeah.
I'm
exactly.
just joking around.
I know, me too. Me too. Like,
You haven't seen anybody with their shirt off in a long time.
No,
that's too
no
bad.
interested. No. No. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, do you remember when the boxing went down?
The boxing went down. You mean when Mike Tyson? The most recent Mike Tyson fight, yeah.
Yeah. And you were talking with Joseph earlier about the toxic and the steroids and
Yes.
They're pumping up, like they're getting pumped up for iron and everything, and it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, that's what they're doing.
What's going on?
RFK Jr. is pumping himself full of testosterone supplements. That's why he is muscular and looks as ripped as he is.
And how old is he? How old is he?
How old? Let me just check. How old is...
Big.
Oh, man. Is he in his 70s or his 60s? Let me just find out. He is 70 years old. Born January 17th, 1954. I just looked it up. So it's 70 years old. He's all ripped.
That's dangerous. That is a very dangerous thing to do when you're that age. It's like lifting weight, pumping iron.
Well, I don't know. I think it's okay to be physically active, but when
but in your 70s, you gotta be careful.
When you're pumped full of testosterone replacement therapy, that's what he's doing. That's what I was wondering about it. So I started digging into a little bit today, and he has acknowledged in public that he is indeed pumping himself full of testosterone. He's admitted it.
And have you heard his voice recently? He sounds so raspy.
Well, that's his medical condition. I can't remember what they call that, but there's not much there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. He's you know what? We need some young people in politics. We need to see some people coming in that are young, that are educated, that are knowledgeable, that know what the hell they're doing. You know, like that people who are working and functional and, you know what I mean?
Well, I guess maybe, but sometimes...
I don't want Trump for president.
You don't want him as a president, no?
No.
What?
I don't want a 51st state for Canada. No.
Yeah, I don't want to be the 51st state either. As much as I love the United States, we're fine.
Leave it.
Yep. Sir John A. MacDonald.
We have to clean up our own garbage. We have to clean up our own damn mess here.
I don't know what...
Clean up your...
Yeah. You go ahead.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. They've got problems down there.
Stop.
Yeah, they have enough problems in the US of A. In fact, I would say in many respects they have more problems than we do up here.
We're getting to the point where we're almost on the same level length of the United States. We're almost level to the United States. And you know what? We got to tone it down a little bit. We got to, you know what? I have no issue. Well, I have an issue with Justin Trudeau, but you know what? He's got to stay out of it. Stay out of it.
There you go. So there you go, Donald. Sandy says, back off, big guy.
Back off, big guy. Back off, big guy Trump. Back off, big guy JT.
That's
Back
right.
Off.
Yeah.
That's right. Suck it up. It's a blood sport, and you gotta suck it up.
That's right. So there you.
I'm worried. I'm worried.
Yeah. Well, you and I will defend the country together. Yes, sir. That's what we'll do.
Wonder Boy.
Yeah, and we'll get Cosmo in there too.
We'll get Cosmo, you, me, and the dragon.
They better not. I'm telling you right now, okay? I sent this message back to somebody earlier today. If I see the Marines coming over the Rocky Mountains, led by a shirtless RFK Jr., accompanied by Lieutenant Steve Rogers and Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump, okay? And here they come, okay? They're gonna invade. I'll tell you right now, okay? This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get my buddies. We're gonna get our canoes. We're gonna get a couple of lacrosse sticks. We're gonna put on our hockey helmets. All right, and then I'm gonna go, and I've got them on speed dial and ready to rock and roll. I've got the women's Olympic hockey team who's gonna back us up. Okay.
I'm with them. I am with them. I will be like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and then we're gonna give them the old what for, and make them wish they'd never tried to invade us.
You know what?
Yeah.
They need a what for and a know how.
That's right.
Damn effing right.
Yeah, they'll learn a thing or two, and when I start taking a few slap shots.
You know what? Yeah. You know what wrong? You know what the one thing wrong with Canada is, and I've said it before, and I'm learning about it. We're too damn nice.
Yes. I agree. That's what I said the other night too. Yeah, that's right. I said if I was at that table with Trump and he made that comment, I'd hand it right back to him. And in fact, I'm thinking maybe we ought to, I don't know, take over Michigan or something, and I think that we can do it peacefully simply by offering them a Hawaiian pizza, which is actually a Canadian invention. Did you know that? It is a Canadian invention. I know.
I think because they put bacon on it.
No, they put pineapple on it. And do you know where it was invented?
They put pineapple on it.
Do you know where the Hawaiian pizza was invented?
Where?
Right here in my hometown, Chatham, Ontario.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding. There's a restaurant downtown. They even have a sign out front. Inventor of the Hawaiian pizza, and it's true.
Well, I want to have lunch with you one day, and if we have lunch, we'll have Hawaiian pizza.
Well, that would be lovely. And I think that we should.
Awesome?
What we need to do is set up a Hawaiian pizza summit where we invite JT, Pierre Poilievre, Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, maybe a few others. We'll be selective, and we'll get them all together sitting around the table. We'll get Vladimir Putin. We'll get Vladimir Zelensky.
His son Barron, I like him.
Yeah, well, we get him in there too, and we'll all talk peace. And we'll bring peace. We'll get them all to agree to a peace deal with a piece of pizza.
And
it'll be the pizza deal.
And beverage and just talk peace.
And I bet you didn't know that Hawaiian pizza was invented right here, and it's a Canadian thing.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
You would think that it came from the Aloha State, but no siree. Yeah. It's a Kanakastanian invention.
You never know these days. You don't really know until you know.
Well, now you know. All right, Sandy, we're going to move on. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
You're welcome, hon. Have a good night.
You always spread sunshine here. Thank you. All right. Take care. See ya. Bye.
You too.
Okay, folks, we're going to take another quick break. We'll continue with our calls on the other side. You can call in and join the conversation at 1-519-401-1373 tonight, right here on the Maverick News Channel.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching.
on TV,
The entire world is watching.
on social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, we're back, and you can call in to join the conversation at 1-519-401-1373. And John Rimby is on the line. He's calling from Alberta, Western Canada, to give us a Western Canada perspective on the issue of Canada joining the United States as the 51st state. What say you?
Well, good evening, Maverick News Worldwide. Thanks again, Rick, for the show last night for the ladies saving the park. Much appreciated.
No, our privilege, sir.
Well, I don't know if you guys are going to like my Alberta perspective or not, but the separation is still in kind of full swing in Alberta. And I mean, no disrespect to anybody Canada-wide, but I'm an Albertan first before I'm a Canadian. I'm a Canadian second. And you talk to most people born and raised in Alberta, and we have kind of a feeling of we probably should have separated 50 years ago from Canada and been on our own as our own republic. And I think if anybody's going to become part of the United States of America, the 51st Republic state would probably be Alberta by ourselves. No disrespect, folks.
Well, well, as much as you're a separatist and you want to break up the country, I understand. But at least you know that there's more than just 6 territories. Yeah. Like that Americanian who wants to take over the country and take our oil. But what's your thought on that, John? Do the Americans need to take over Canada in order to benefit from Alberta oil, or are you willing to share?
Well, look, I'm from Alberta. We've always shared, and I think the big mistake that dear old fancy socks Justin Trudeau made when he went to Mar-a-Lago last week to see President-elect Trump, number 47, is he should have taken Daniel Smith with him, Premier of Alberta, and Doug Ford from Ontario. Let's be kind of brutally honest, folks, that without the great province of Ontario, with their manufacturing wealth, and with Alberta's oil and gas, third largest proven oil reserves in the world, there really wouldn't be much of a Canada, Rick, in all fairness, if we're going to be honest about things.
Well, we have to be careful what we say. We don't want to offend our friends out in BC with their lumber, or people in Atlantic Canada with their fisheries, or people in, Quebec with their resources, and, and just the people in the prairies with their grain,
I do, Rick. I have to give brag and homage. When I had my mansion down in Morrisburg, Ontario, my mom was born in Ontario. So I do have to say that every other weekend when I was in Montreal, and people don't believe me in Alberta, but this is true, I was absolutely always treated, literally, I know it's an old catchphrase of mine, but literally was treated like Rolls Royce. I just said to them, I'm sorry, I don't speak French. And I mean, I was treated wonderfully. And any Canadian anywhere, if you don't do a beautiful stint in Montreal or Quebec City, I mean, the art, the entertainment, the restaurants, the antiquing, I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. Maybe we should keep the country together, Rick.
As well, as much as I like Montreal, I have to say that it might be my favorite Canadian city is Quebec City, because it is just like stepping back in time. to
Europe.
just the cobblestones and the old architecture. You walk around there, it's like stepping back into the old world, and it is just so beautiful. And there's so much culture there, Canadian culture, French Canadian culture to be sure, but Canadian culture nonetheless, and so much to learn. And when I was in elementary school, every grade 8 class got a trip to Quebec City. If you paid the fee or whatever. So we went as a class, and there was so much to learn, and that's actually where I went on my honeymoon with my wife, because the city is just so darn beautiful.
I do have to say, Rick, that I think Justin Trudeau, he's really missed the mark, because Danielle Smith, as I understand it, is going down a week early from Alberta down to Washington to do the party circuit. She is invited to the inauguration of Trump. She's been on Fox News last week. And we're securing our southern border in Alberta up against North Dakota. We've got a very special relationship with Montana, Minnesota, and North Dakota. She's been working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think, as much as I'm a Trump lover, Maverick News family, the only thing Mr. Trump understands is strength. And you don't punch your biggest, closest ally, trading partner in the nose in Canada, and for that matter, Mexico as well. I think I had property in Mexico. I think Mexico's an incredible trading partner and country. We should be treated with the utmost of respect. And respect, Rick and Mavericks, that's a two-way street.
Yes.
That's a two-way street, and we are not getting a lot of respect these days from dear old orange orangutan Mr. Trump.
Yeah, I think he's lost some Canadian support. He's losing me a little bit here, because I don't like the approach at all. It's not needed, in my view, at all. And I don't think that Canada does take advantage of the United States. We're considerably smaller. We have a lot, in terms of resources that we send to the U.S. They need us. We need them. We no doubt need them more than they need us, I think, in many respects. But I'll tell you, man, it's a mutually beneficial arrangement, and you don't need to threaten us in that way. In my view, you can get to a good place without that kind of approach. Just my opinion.
We live in the greatest country in the world. Yes, God bless the United States of America. Well, first and foremost, God has blessed Canada. We live in one of the richest countries in the entire world, with our incredible people, our natural resources, our different ethnic cultures, our indigenous. From the West Coast to the East Coast, we have one very, very incredible country. And I think we get overlooked, Rick, and I think as Canadians, we forget how great our country is.
Yes, that's true. We take it for granted, don't we? I really think we do.
I think we do too.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I hope we never lose it, but if we ever were to lose our country, I know we would miss it when it was gone.
Well, I don't think Mr. Trump would pull this same sort of garbage with Pierre Poilievre. We've got lots of negotiating power, and if Mr. Trump wants to issue a tariffs on us, well, you just fight fire with fire, and we just issue tariffs back,
Well, I think Pierre Poilievre kind of hit the nail right on the head when he said that he would, unleash the power of the Canadian economy, get things into a position, where they would be going to the negotiating table in a position of strength with Trump, and making it known that that's where Canada is at. And I think that's the right approach. The Team Canada approach thing, I guess it can be okay, but no, I think Trump understands strength, and he respects that. And if you go in like that, I think he will respect it. If you go in like JT, I don't think Trump has any respect for Justin Trudeau. Doesn't like him. and it puts Canada at a disadvantage even before they get to the bargaining table.
Well, you just need to listen to some of the advice your premier in Ontario, Doug Ford, is giving Mr. Trump. The same advice that Daniel Smith is giving them from Alberta is we're not going to put up with being threatened with that sort of garbage.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
And look, I'm part American. I love my Americans. I'm 50% Canadian, 50% Minnesotan, you know?
Yeah.
With Jesse Ventura, used to be governor in Minnesota.
Now there's a guy who used to look good with his shirt off. Yeah, Jesse Ventura. Hey, did you, well, I've got you on the line. Did you take note of this story where the police have identified a person of interest in connection with the killing of that healthcare CEO?
Yeah, is there something new on the update? Because I know they've got a lot of other video, I think, and they're moving forward on that case.
Yeah, they are. So I'm just showing you the NBC feed here with regard to that, and yeah, they say a strong person of interest in possession of a gun and multiple fake IDs has been arrested in Pennsylvania in connection to the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Very strange and troubling case. And yeah, the surveillance video that they have of that, just killed in cold blood like that. And I'm not sure I like the public response to it, honestly. But because, I just don't think that pretty cold comments from a lot of people regarding the CEO of that company. He's still a human being, folks. But anyway, what are they saying? They're saying that he was in possession of a ghost gun that had the capability of firing 9mm round and a suppressor. And quote, who's this quote from? Yeah, the person being questioned was at a McDonald's in Altoona where an employee thought he looked suspicious and called police, officials said. And so the person has been identified as Luigi Mangione. So we'll continue to follow that story. We haven't provided a lot of coverage on that, but I did want to just acknowledge that here tonight.
Well, and Rick, just on a side note, we're coming into the Christmas season. We're here. We have, and please, Maverick News, remember our fellow Canadians. We have food banks across this country, Rick, that need to be stocked up. And something that I just learned a number of months ago, we have food banks for veterans, Rick.
Yeah.
Our military veterans. I find that very sad as a World War I grandson of a veteran, that we've so forgotten our veterans in this country that they have their own food bank. That saddens me, Rick, as a Canadian. Really saddens me.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. Well, John, I'll throw it to you for a final thought on the tariffs and all of the banter surrounding the 51st state issue.
Well, I think you've just nailed it. It is banter. It's great propaganda for Donald J. Trump. It makes wonderful coverage on Fox News and all the U.S. news networks, and it gets everybody up in a flap. And it's just, to me, it's big propaganda. Justin's an easy guy to pick on these days, because he's just not much of a leader. Just listen to Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary would rather have a goat running the country than Mr. Trudeau. So I think that says it,
I don't know. See, now I'm triply worried because when he's making reference to a goat, it makes me think of Diagolon, which makes me think of the country's being broken up, and I'm like, oh my God, now Kevin O'Leary is on about the goat. Like, what's that goat's name over there at those dudes? Oh, Philip, they call him. Yeah. Well, there's something to trigger some people on the left, I'll tell you that.
Well, and let's remember our friends around the world, and let's pray for peace. hopefully some calmer heads are going to prevail, and we can steer this world in the direction of peace and people getting along, is what I pray for.
Yes, and we'll hope for the best in Syria as well tonight, where things are still in a state of upheaval following the regime's collapse there. The Assad regime coming down, rebels, including factions with extremist elements, have taken control, leading to a surge in attacks against religious minorities, particularly Christians in that country. And tonight there are confirmed instances of capture, torture, and murder of Christians, highlighting a dire humanitarian crisis. In the north, the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, backed by the United States, are clashing with Turkish-supported fighters, escalating tensions in the region. And meanwhile, the withdrawal of Russian forces has left many soldiers stranded, which we reported last night, adding another layer of complexity to that ongoing conflict. And on the diplomatic front tonight, there are signs of an international response. The new Syrian flag has been raised at the Syrian embassy in Moscow, signaling a shift in diplomatic recognition. Turkey, under President Erdogan, has reaffirmed its commitment to peace and support for Syrian refugees, emphasizing the need for Syria's territorial integrity and a peaceful transition. And Israel has been actively engaging, reportedly bombing military bases and weapons caches associated with the former Assad regime, aiming to destabilize any remaining loyalist forces. And humanitarian efforts there are ongoing amidst all the chaos. And and Assad is in exile in Moscow, where he will likely spend the remainder of his days. And this has also turned into something I would say of an embarrassment for Vladimir Putin, who, really for him, Syria was his crown jewel in the Middle East. His ship inside the Middle East that floated the Moscow boat, and he's lost that toehold into the Middle East now. A serious blow to him, especially in terms of image on the international stage, where he has been over many years, and especially over the last couple, trying to project a real image of power. But that very much diminished because it looks like the Russian military bases in Syria are about to be taken, and the Navy there from the one port in Syria the Russian Navy has left. They're in retreat, John.
His days are numbered, folks. Mr. Putin, I believe his days are numbered. God has got a special place in HELL for Mr. Putin.
Yes, I think so. I agree with that. Too much bloodshed, and I'm with you, John. I think we need to pray for peace. I hope we do get to a place of peace, and hopefully, the propaganda on all sides can get dialed down so we can also get a little bit closer to the truth.
Well, and I pray for all my fellow Canadians, coast to coast. We live in one of the most incredible, rich countries in the world. God has really blessed us in Canada. I'm so thankful that we're here. All of us.
Yeah.
All of us. So God bless you guys, and pray for peace around the world, folks.
And just one last thing, John, before we sign off tonight. What are prices at the grocery store like out there? Because Justin Trudeau was talking to the Halifax Chamber of Commerce about the tariffs and the cost of living, inflation, and I'm just curious, what are prices? Have they stabilized at all over the past year? What kind of prices are we looking? For instance, Chrystia Freeland and Trudeau both keep talking about these rotisserie chickens, like it's some luxury item that Canadians will finally be able to afford again with the sales tax holiday over the Christmas vacation. What does a rotisserie chicken sell for out there in Red Deer, Alberta?
Depends where you are. At Costco, they're $7.50.
Whoa, that's a great deal.
Yeah, and they're a big fat chicken too. They're bigger than the ones at Walmart. But I'm a little Jewish Hampton Norwegian discount guy. I shop on sale, and no frills President's Choice. No, I'm a real sales guy. I shop the flyers. I buy everything on sale. You have to.
You have to. Yeah, I do too. I'm very frugal. I need to be because we're impoverished here. That is for sure.
Frugal is not cheap, Mr. Walker. You're not cheap. You're frugal.
You can't. You know, if you shop carefully, if you're like John, it's true. You can survive by going after the sale items. You can save a bundle that way, and it can make groceries at least somewhat affordable.
Well, I love Giant Tiger in Ontario. I mean, you've just got to shop the sales.
Yeah,
and
that's
you got to use your coupons.
Yeah, but the prices are still too high, rising too much. The other Johnny out of Toronto sent me a video about the collapsing Canadian economy today, which, there's some truth to the economic strain we're under, but they were saying, that unemployment way too high, which it is, because I think it right now is over 6%. So you're dangerously close to recession level unemployment in Canada, and if we're not there already. Now, there was also talk about the Canadian dollar collapsing in that video today, but the truth of the matter is the Canadian dollar right now tonight sits at 71 cents US, and that is historically about average. The Canadian dollar is always about between 70, 80, 85, maybe even a little sometimes below 70 cents US, and that's done through interest rates, adjusting interest rates on a monthly basis to keep the dollar lower than the US dollar, so our exports become more affordable to the United States, which is something that Donald Trump really needs to take note of before going to war with us in a trade war when he takes office in January, because that's just going to make groceries more expensive for everyone. Right, John?
Well, yeah, it's just all political rhetoric, from the Trumpster, eh? Once he deals with Doug Ford and Daniel Smith, and can you imagine the Trumpster dealing with an angry Quebecer? Good luck, Donald. Donald Duck. There's a good one, Rick, eh? Donald Duck.
Yes, that's right, Donald Duck. Well, duck and cover, because you never know. Right, we're on the verge of World War III with a nuclear holocaust on the horizon, so I hope that doesn't happen. All I can say is get out there, enjoy that sales tax holiday, folks, as we approach Christmas. Everybody we need all the help we can get, even if it's coming from Justin Trudeau, because it's not the pennies, it's the nickels and dimes these days. Every nickel and dime counts. And with that, a reminder, you can donate to support this channel at freedomreporters.com. And what else? Please like, share, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. And with that, I bid you adieu. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out tonight. And to take us out, here's Midnight Grocery Run, that song that we've been working on for some time. And it just came along at just such a timely moment as we were talking about these tariffs and possibly making groceries a whole lot more expensive. I will see you guys tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on the Maverick News Channel on the... Go ahead, John, on the what?
On the flip side, Maverick News Worldwide.
Under neon lights after 24/7. Cereal boxes stacked like they're from heaven. Cartwheels squeak while hearts are tucked. Past the pickles and we're straight up struck. Midnight grocery run, feeling so divine. Bananas in the basket and we're losing track of time. Laughing through the aisles with you right by my side. This midnight grocery run's a wild ride. Frozen pizzas and a chocolate pie. Scanning items neath the starry sky. Fluorescent glow makes everything so real. In this wonderland we break the seal. Midnight grocery run, feeling so divine. Bananas in the basket and we're losing track of time. Laughing through the aisles with you right by my side. This midnight grocery run's a wild ride. Here's smart, they know the drill. Moonlit moments give a midnight thrill. We dance down aisle 4 like no one sees. Just some dreamers lost in fantasies. find bananas in the basket and we're losing track of time. Laughing through the aisles with you right by my side. This midnight grocery run's a wild ride.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.